Well, oh, I didn't add a description yet. I got to do all of the pertinent stuff to get this going. I don't have nobody in yet. So let me do all of the pertinent stuff to get this going because we got a lot to discuss tonight. We always got a lot to discuss. But you know what? I want to say this time is different, but it's different every time. And it's steadily, increasingly getting worse. Like right now, it's astronomical. The things that are going on are unreal. It's like a sci-fi movie, or a suspense thriller with a touch of sci-fi. Only thing missing is the aliens that Donald Trump promised us on his first term, right? In case you missed it, he did promise us aliens on his first term. And as Biden went out of office over Jersey, there were hundreds of drones the size of cars flying around. And the government was like, nothing to see here. So that happened. Let me see what's going on. I'm having a hard time signing in. Yes, it's me. Okay, I don't know. I would like to just add this to my. No, it's definitely asking me to verify myself. Must be a setting. What it's not is a big deal. Tonight, we're going to talk Ghislane Maxwell. Now, I don't want to get too much into it before we kick it, right? Sunday, we went live and I had a lot of people like, this is a distraction, the economy. The economy is super relevant, and distraction makes sense when I did my research. My research consisted of learning, thanks to a friend of mine who's deeply into economics. And, he's a fan of the things that Trump does because Trump is going to put money in a lot of people's pockets. Well, I can't say a lot of people, in people's pockets that know how to take advantage of the situation. We're getting a little bit tired tonight. And I slept last night. I prepared for this. My body said, good, but no. You know what we haven't seen in the news recently? Elon Musk. Elon Musk is quiet. Why it's important? We wouldn't be talking about Maxwell. We wouldn't be talking about, I gotta put them in here. I gotta add them in. So Elaine Maxwell. Oh, I need to right. We need to people need to know about Elaine Maxwell's in here. We need to add, come on, computer's running. It's like, what you got me doing over here? We need Jeffrey Epstein. Gotta have them in here. And I would like to add this thumbnail and the playlist. So Elon Musk is important because without Elon Musk, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. You might ask why that is. 1,000 years ago, in a land far away, or a month ago, right here in America, Elon Musk said, "Well, to lead into it, we gotta step back a little further. We gotta go way farther back in time. We gotta go about 5 months, maybe 6 months, when Elon was paying for the seats that sit around the president. A bunch of tech billionaires. I've heard the word used, oligarchy, the oligarchs, all centered around Trump, and it came together in a miraculous way to put the money up to make Donald Trump president. As it was happening, anybody with a little bit of discernment watched in awe as the rest of the world seemed to not realize that this partnership, they called it a bromance, between Elon Musk and Donald Trump was like watching a movie with star-crossed lovers. It had no choice but to fall apart. And as many of us have predicted, their bromance soon, once a bright flame, dwindled into the dark. And just like that, poof, it was gone. Not with a whimper, but with a bang. Everybody know that one? And the bang, it started them firing shots at each other that was harmful. They were saying ridiculous things. Then everything went silent for a while. Eventually, everything came back. And they fought harder than ever. Rather. Donald Trump was threatening to kick him out the country and to pull his government contracts. For those of you who don't know, Elon Musk is the richest man in the world. He owns Tesla. He owns SpaceX. And the reason he is so rich is not just because he owns these things, but because the government provided him subsidies in the form of tax breaks that allowed him to grow to be the wealthiest man in the world, which he then used that wealth to put the Republicans in place that are presently running this country, the Congress, and Donald Trump. He well, I can't say single-handedly, but he was the foremost supporter financially of the MAGA movement. He spent unseen, obscene amounts of money to make Donald Trump president of the United States. So when they broke up and the first time they went through it, the next time now he's talking about kicking him out and taking him off his subsidies. Taking him off his subsidies wouldn't bankrupt him, but he would no longer be the richest man in the world after like 6 months. That's a guarantee. That threat was serious. And eventually Elon Musk went quiet over it. C'est la vie. Such is life. But not before he got one final shot off. Elon was like, what? So this is how we giving it up? All right. The reason Donald Trump's not telling you what's going on in the Epstein files is because he's in them. He dropped that bomb. They went on back and forth a little bit longer, and Elon faded into the dust, into the back rather, and watched the destruction that he had set forth occur. Elon is silent. Nobody talk about Elon right now. He started this Epstein thing. They said Trump was in it. Shortly after he said that, Trump came out and was like, you know what? There's nothing with this Epstein thing. We're done. And a lot of things have happened in the MAGA base. A lot of us are trying to figure out exactly what was going on. So let me explain. Trump has come into office. He's made a lot of promises. We can discuss some of these promises. Let's talk about them. Ending the war in Gaza in one day. Ending the war in Israel in one day. Oh, sorry, Israel, Gaza, I'm sorry. Ending the war in Russia one day. Bringing prices down day one. I don't know. We can keep going. Let me see. Tariffs would make America great again. Schools would get better. Like, obscene amounts of things. Then he passed his signature bill, the one big bad bill. I call it the one big bad bill. He calls it the one big beautiful bill. The bill is disgusting. The bill is known for such things as, the one they don't talk about enough is the fact that that bill makes it okay for the government to pump obscene amounts of pollution into the air. Included in those obscene amounts of pollution is something called carcinogens. The literal definition of the word carcinogen is to cause cancer. So Donald Trump has set it up where in the one big bad bill that he twisted Congress's arm to put in place so that he can sign, he's allowing pollution. He's going to allow pollution to choke out Americans. He's allowing carcinogens in the air. There's going to be a serious uptake in the amount of people that get cancer from that bill. That's the one they're not talking about enough. You heard about the millions of people that are going to lose food security. What that means is you're going to have kids going to school hungry. You're going to have families that can't feed themselves. You heard about the Medicaid cuts. Tens of millions of people losing health coverage. And the ones that maintain it, your prices are going to go up. Our prices. You go in the stores and he's telling you inflation's over. We're great again. But your pocketbook doesn't say it when you when you're at the cash register. At the cash register, you're like, Dad, a month ago, I could buy a little bit more for the same amount of money. And economists are telling us inflation's just beginning. Trump says, ignore that. Pay no attention. Pay attention to what I'm telling you. So all of this is transpired. And his MAGA base clung strongly. So the people with discernment is like, hold up. He lied to you about everything. He lies about everything. What the heck will it take for y'all to like wake up? Then something amazing happened. The Elon Musk situation. And why is that amazing? Because despite all the other lies that were told, and they were prolific, when he failed to deliver on giving the Epstein files up, his base finally broke. And they were like, yo, hold on, wait. The people with discernment. So we told y'all that he's taking food away, prices is going up, people are losing health coverage, people are going to die. Hospitals are closing, elderly homes are going to close, wars are going on with the brink of World War III, and y'all are good with all of this. But he doesn't hand over files from a guy who died in jail 10 years ago, and y'all are losing your minds? This concerned those with discernment. But then the Democrats, who have a whole load of their own problems, we'll get into that tonight, picked it up and said, oh, well, y'all want to talk about Epstein? Let's talk about Epstein. And they did something, they did the first intelligent thing that they've done in a long time. They tried to pass a bill to release the Epstein files. Not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times, 5 times. 5 times they tried to pass a bill to release the Epstein files. And something incredible happened. Trump blocked it. And the Republicans that were backing him, like, yo, we gonna release these files. He had his attorney general, he had the leader of the FBI, he had the assistant director of the FBI, he had okay. Pam Bondi's the AG, she's attorney general, she's head of the Department of Justice. She's the lead attorney in the country. That's what she does. The head law enforcement that she's partnered with is the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigations. Y'all know about them. Led by Kash Patel. And Kash Patel's been quiet. He ain't saying nothing. Now, the Department of Justice has these files, right? Let's look at why that might be. They pressed charges on Jeffrey Epstein. And not only did they press charges, they won. They put this man away. Jeffrey Epstein went to jail. The Department of Justice did it. You know what that means? I got to say that again. The Department of Justice pressed charges on Epstein and put him away. So how did they put him away? Because they have all the information. They have everything. The Department of Justice under Pam Bondi has everything. So Trump's first reaction now is like, Epstein files don't exist. It's a hoax. I'm gonna call it the Epstein hoax from now on. And everybody's looking like, all right, well, I guess that's the end of it, because his fan base is gonna follow him through no matter what. They didn't bite. This had everybody like, yo, hold up, wait a minute. Something happened that his fan base didn't follow? This is why it's important to decide what these are distractions. Then we get into Ghislane Maxwell and why she's important. First, let's lay out the entire back history while I'm waiting on my co-host to show up. His base didn't crack. They were like, I don't understand. So now we're like, okay, so we got something that his base didn't jump right on, even when he tried to change direction. So now it's starting to get interesting. And we know that they have all the information. As a matter of fact, back in February, the Department of Justice head, Pam Bondi, the lead attorney general who has all the files, because they're the ones who collected the files, said she had the files on her desk. And she was going to go over them. Is it possible she had the files on her desk? All she would have to do was make a phone call and have them delivered. She was in charge of the very agency that pressed the charges and had enough evidence to lock him up. She has everything. And his base knows it. So now when he's like, it's a hoax, it's like, hold up, time out. You brought a bunch of MAGA people into Pam Bondi's office, and they was all holding up these folders, and they said this was the unreleased Epstein files. It was released, and it was like, stuff that's all public domain anyway. You can Google this stuff. We all know this. Where's the thing that we were looking for? So then everybody began to understand. And it makes sense in a way. Let me explain. The reason this base followed him the way they did, even though prices was going up, even though wars didn't end, even though the Democrats were saying, oh, this bill's going to cost millions of people their lives, and people are going to lose food security, and people are going to lose health insurance. They didn't believe the Democrats, because they believed the Democrats were an evil bunch of child molesters, and that Trump was going to show all of this. So they didn't believe when the Democrats was warning them about what this bill said. Anybody that was a listener here knows what the bill said, because we've read that bill and all of the damage it caused several times here. We're not going to get into that tonight. Not this time. I'll brush over it, but I'm not going to pull the bill up and read directly off the .gov website. But then it became apparent. So y'all believe that these evil Democrats are doing all this. So y'all not listening to nothing they say about the health insurance and food stamps. Y'all not paying attention to that, even though y'all need it, because they lie to you. They're evil pedophiles. And then something magical happened. Trump would not produce the files. And that crack in the armor there, because that's what they believed was going to make them right, what they believed was going to be their true light. Like, after all this, the suffering and getting laughed at and ridiculed by people who thought they knew better, all that was going to come to an end when Trump released these files. And Trump was like, nothing to see here. And the base that was their existence, this is what made them, that they believed everything about these files, and they were going to be vindicated for all of their being laughed at and ridiculed. Their vindication went up in smoke. And what happened was they lost their vindication that they were right. Now, either Trump is part of the problem or they're wrong. So now they're living. And so the Democrats is like, yo, hold up, time out. So Y'all care about that? Y'all don't care about food? They don't understand that these guys didn't believe them. But they see that this is what they care about. So they're like, now they're like, all right, well, let's show the files. That's what y'all want to see. And the Republicans that were, we got to show the files, like the head of the House in the Senate, James, not James, this, oh man, not James Comey. James Comey is the old FBI director. Oh gosh, his name's not coming to me. Mike Johnson is like, I didn't even pull my notes up yet. I'm just rambling until my partner get in here, or my co-host get in here. And then we're gonna really dig in deep. But since I'm here now with you guys, I'm giving a backstory for everybody who doesn't know what happened. So, oh, I got a couple of people I got to invite into the room. I got to do that as well, because I got to make sure this guy's coming, because we really got a lot to talk about tonight. He was coming from Africa, so we had some problems. So they wanted to be vindicated. And that's really the long and short of what all of this was about. And being that they were now made to realize that they've been played for fools, now they have to figure out. Give me 1 second. All right. It isn't working at all. Well, my co-host can't make it in tonight. So I'm gonna go through this myself, which is good because we need to talk about this stuff. I would have loved to hear the MAGA response to everything going on. So we're gonna have to redo this at some point. But tonight we're gonna just go through a few of these things. My aggravation is, it is what it is. He can't get on. He's having internet problems. He's out in Africa and he's moving around, and the way he's at, there's no internet. That's fine. So now the base is, they're riled up. Today is not going to be exactly a think tank episode. I'm not going to give my normal opening because in order for it to be a real think tank, there has to be some conversation back and forth. I have to have other perspectives. That's what makes it a think tank. If it's just my perspective, we don't have a think tank. We have an opinion, albeit an educated, well thought out opinion, hopefully, but it's not a think tank. Not tonight. We're going to still go through this. So, being that he did not release the files, everybody got irate. And now he's got to quell their anger. He's got to figure out a way to deal with it. They're livid. The Republicans, like Mike Johnson, leader of the House, it got so bad. So check it, right? It got so bad that by the fifth vote, now there's different departments that vote on different things. Everything's not on the House floor. You got to go through certain hearings or what have you to get to the House floor. Sometimes it can be introduced on the floor, so the whole House votes on it, or it can be introduced in segments that everybody could vote on in there, and then he makes it to the floor. So they voted. They was about to vote to release it to the House floor. They don't want it on the House floor because then every Republican would have to show that they voted against it, even though they're in there talking big stuff like, release the files. We need to see what Epstein did. We need to see who's associated with him. We got to get that Bill Clinton because Bill Clinton was his biggest customer. And the things are coming out, and it's like, well, we look at the files, the ones that have been released, the ones that Pam Bondi has, and we've seen he's on his flight log several times. He's all over his phone book. They had houses next to each other. It goes on and on and on. There are young women coming out like, well, yeah, Trump was a molester. I was there in the Epstein house. We're gonna start. Let's take a look. Well, before we go into that, let's go in order. So he tries to cover himself. He starts throwing out wild accusations. The man accuses Obama, and he's back to this Russia, Russia, Russia. Accuses Obama of corruption and says he wants to throw him in jail. We've heard this rhetoric before. So you wait till you're in trouble and your base is cracking and nobody wants to be around you, and you throw out the name Obama, and all of a sudden it'd be like, oh yeah, you expect them to be like, oh yeah, Obama, right? That's right. We love this guy because we hate Obama. It's not working. Obama released a statement, brilliant statement. Not that I'm a fan, but a little bit after that statement, you can't help it. He said, I don't even pay attention to most of the. Basically, what he said was, I don't even pay attention to the rhetoric that comes out. It, this is so absurd. I'm gonna comment. It's a lie. It's not exactly what he said, but that's what he said. For anybody who doesn't remember, the Russian, first of all, Marco Rubio is head of state. Is the one that was like in the Obama administration was like, oh yeah, Russia's trying to spy on us and trying to offset our elections, blah blah. It was his own team that's around him right now doing it. It's a hoax. It's a hoax. Oh, Obama did this. Obama did that. It was the people he has around him right now. Marco Rubio. Name you heard, I'm sure. Marco Rubio's the one who was like, Russia, 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 Russia colluded. Russia tried to interfere in our elections. It was Marco Rubio. So Obama responds. Obama's like, this is nonsense. I wanted to say other words, but I mean, it's such craziness. So what happens after that? Obama's like, it's a weak distraction. I love that. It's a weak distraction. That's a quote. What is he trying to distract against? The fact that his fan base is like, we not with this. This does not make any sense. Release the files. You have the files. All you gotta do is, yo, you said they were sitting on your desk. Now you're talking about you're gonna go to the Department of Justice and I'm sorry, you're gonna go to the courts and ask them to release them. You said they were sitting on your desk. So his base isn't going for it. So and then you have things coming out like Virginia Roberts. Who is Virginia Roberts? Virginia Roberts was a 14-year-old girl that got a job at Mar-a-Lago. She was a towel girl. She was homeless. Actually, you can say that Trump was good for giving this homeless 14-year-old kid a job. I mean, that's powerful. I would be like, yo, what a powerful, that's a great man. Except for as she was working there, his man came to visit him because, they were always together, Epstein. And Epstein saw this little girl, and her stories were something along the lines of, his girlfriend trained me to do all types of pleasures for him. She was 14. For those that don't know, I used to be a high school teacher for a couple of years, right? So I had freshmen. She was 14. And his girlfriend, a woman by the name of Ghislane Maxwell, trained her to please him intimately, including things like, I'm trying to find a fellatio. His girlfriend, Ghislane Maxwell, trained a 14-year-old how to properly give him fellatio so that he was satisfied. She named Trump too. She killed herself. I'm sorry. She unalived herself. this president of ours was putting out AI generated videos of Obama being arrested to try and distract from the stories coming out. The Wall Street Journal received a letter. We're not sure where it came from. We have our suspicions. But I'll delve into that maybe a little later. They released a letter with a birthday card from Donald Trump to Jeffrey Epstein. His 50th birthday. Should have been about 2003. At the peak of when Epstein was sending these little girls, him and his girlfriend were finding these little girls and training them to do unspeakable acts. Same time, Donald Trump was having his, beauty pageants. And in these beauty pageants, he had little girls. Like, it wasn't a grown-up beauty pageant, it was a children's beauty pageant. And then afterwards, him and Epstein would take these little girls, just the two of them, take these little girls back to the house to party. The videos of them are starting to surface. I can't look at them. Most appalling is an interview that was done on the Midas Touch by Uncle Luke. Now, anybody that's old enough to remember the 90s knows Uncle Luke from Two Live Crew. Uncle Luke was known for throwing the craziest, wildest parties. It's Uncle Luke. Uncle Luke went to this party. He said he was with Mike Tyson. And who else was he with? Oh, Eddie Murphy. So Eddie Murphy, Mike Tyson, and Uncle Luke show up at Trump's Mar-a-Lago having a party. And this story was told by Uncle Luke on the Midas Touch. So he said that he looked around and saw little girls in there, or that's a lie. Strike that. He looked around and saw girls and he couldn't tell how old they were. And he was like, I'm out of here. He don't know what nobody else did, but he wasn't staying around with what appeared to be possibly minors at Mar-a-Lago. And in them rooms, they were having all types of puffy parties. Puffy parties with what appeared to be maybe minors. That was so bad that Uncle Luke left. Like, fathom that. Uncle Luke. I mean, we're talking about the ex-party dude. Like, that's what he was known for. If he left, I don't want to know. He looked around and said, them girls look like he left. And that was out of his own mouth. It was crazy. So, what else happened? Why go after Obama right now would be the question. Like, of all people, like, of all of the rhetoric and all the people you can call, why Obama? Well, there's a couple of major reasons. Obama's an old favorite for him to go after. Let's call it like it is. People don't like to talk about it, but I'm going to say it. You ready? He's black. Now, not all of his base is racist. Obviously, you know my co-host is black. He's obviously not racist against blacks. But a portion of them are. There's a portion that's going to look and see a black man and it's going to be what it is. It's just what it is. So, what else? He's a Democrat. During the funeral, during Carter's funeral, President Jimmy Carter, Trump and Obama were kicking it like they were best friends. All the presidents were seated together, but the two that was noted to be talking the most out of everybody was Trump and Obama. They cool. Off camera. Or on camera that night. I mean, they was kicking the good old times. And their comfortability level was in such that you can tell it wasn't awkward. It was like, oh, yo, what's up, bro? And they sat next to each other and kicked it. Now, granted, the seats probably were planned and all of that, but They went after, like, he went after somebody, like, yo, he just pulled out, he's pulling out all the whole, he went after Clinton, the emails. Like, you mean to tell me you waited a decade to get back, 6, 7 years to get back in office? And all of a sudden you're bringing up the emails and the Russia hoax again right now during the Epstein thing? What people are looking at is seeing a very desperate man. Trump is desperate. He wants this Epstein thing to disappear. And the question is, that's your man, and they want to show these lists. Why are you more desperate than we've ever seen you to hide this list? What is happening? Now, I have to remind you a little something, right? Trump is not exactly what's known as an innocent man. He's been caught on a hot mic talking about how he touches women and they just allow him. He had to give up copious amounts of money because he lost a lawsuit saying that he molested a woman. The list goes on. He's he's a dude that does things to women. That's just part of who he is as a person. That's been a record for quite some time, and his base accepted it, and they stuck with him. For good or bad, that's what happened. So the question then becomes, what is in these files that's so horrendous that you can't show it to a base that thinks it's okay that you just grab women by the private areas and kiss them without asking them against their will? You can just grab them by the, and that's okay, but what's in these files is not. These files got to be bad. These files got to be bad. Exactly, Crizzy. What is on the list? Spill the tea. So that's what it is. So now we come to Ghislane Maxwell. Ghislane. Should know that name like the back of my hand by now. Ghislane. And so why is Ghislane an important figure? She was training little girls to give fellatio. Let's start with that. She's the only person in the entire planet that went to jail with Epstein. If it was a RICO, she was the co-conspirator, for those of y'all following the Trump. So then, now that brings other questions. Why did she go to jail in the first place? What does she know about Trump? And that's the big one. We could drop everything else. What does Ghislane Maxwell know about Trump? Well, she was the one who set up Epstein for all the parties and whatever. I mean, they were together. They was like, she was his bottom B. She was his madam. Call her what you want. She was the one that set these little girls up. And there are stories of 10 and 8-year-olds. I have an 8-year-old daughter. I want to vomit in my mouth. Anyway, so Ghislane has the secrets. She has all the secrets Pam Bondi got, maybe more. She's already served about 6 years of her 20-year term. She almost out of prison. Suddenly, a letter turns up at the Wall Street Journal. And it's a birthday card for Donald Trump to Jeffrey Epstein. I think I spoke. I was about to get into it. This card was given for his 50th birthday in 2003. At the peak of all of this, while Ghislane and Jeffrey were taking these little girls like Virginia from Mar-a-Lago, he sends him a birthday card with a drawing of a woman. Inside that woman, he has a conversation. And in the same area that he can grab women by, he signed his name and it looked like pubic hairs. Because that's what he grabs them by, their pubic hairs. This is what he was caught on. He said himself, he just grabs them by the. And it's okay because he has a lot of money. It's not okay, Donald Trump. So inside this woman's body, with the signature of with his signature on the pubic area that looks like pubic hair, he has a conversation, an imaginary conversation with Epstein. And in this conversation, he's saying things like all the wonderful secrets that we can um, have day to day. May every day be filled with these wonderful, with a new wonderful secret. What kind of secrets you have with a child molester, bro? Like, what? And the conversation is weird. It's like he makes up a conversation, and basically that conversation is like they have this secret life that no one knows about. He hopes it keeps going with Jeffrey freaking Epstein at the peak of his molestation period. It's insane. So, as we can only speculate what's in the files that have not been released, since he's in every single file that has been. Yes, of course he goes after his greatest hits, everybody that his fan base might react to, Obama, Clinton, James Comey, whoever he feels his fan base will react to, he's going to bring up right now. And the fact that he's done all of this in a week, oh, sorry, something he's never done before, shows just how desperate he actually is. So now with his desperation at a peak, things going the way that they're going, Pam Bondi, remember her, the Attorney General, lead of the Department of Justice, the #1 attorney in the country for the country, decides that she's going to go visit Ghislane Maxwell in prison to find out what she knows. Now let me do a quick recap for those of y'all who wasn't paying attention, or who are new to the channel or that wasn't hearing me before, because that is crazy. The Department of Justice in 2019 pressed charges on Ghislane Maxwell and locked her up. They have everything she knows written down. They locked her up with it. They locked up Jeffrey Epstein with it. They have all of this. The Department of Justice, the ones that pressed the charges, they're the ones that locked up. They have all the paperwork. If you have everything that was on the trial, everything in the testimony, why are you suddenly trying to make an appointment with her lawyer to go see her? What? Yeah, hold up. So you know everything that she said so far. You have it on your desk, or you claim to have it on your desk. You definitely have it a file, and you can make one phone call, bring me the file, and this is 2025. You probably type it up with a password, and it pops up on your desk. And you have all the goods on Ghislane Maxwell. Everything. Why are you going to see her? This woman's brother is telling the newspapers right now that he spoke to his sister, and Ghislane is afraid for her life. The only reason that woman is alive is because you can't kill Jeffrey the same way you killed her. Or she'd be dead already. That's just speculation. I can't prove it. I'm going to sip my tea. But Jeffrey Epstein's death is interesting. Now, let's go back to 2019 again. His hanging consisted of breaking 3 bones in his neck. Why that matters. In a hanging, sometimes 1 bone will break. Sometimes. Rarely, very rarely, if you're flailing around and it's a really bad hanging, 2 bones will break. This is according to one of the world's leading pathologists that actually performed the autopsy. This is not stuff I know. This is stuff the leading pathologist in the world said. I don't know. He said 3 bones breaking is an historical record. Has never happened before. World's leading pathologist said the signs are consistent with a homicide, not a suicide. World's leading pathologist. So you can't have 2 people die the same way. Not with this many people looking and the whole world's watching. I think that's the only reason Ghislane is alive still. But I could be wrong. What do I know? I'm just a podcast host. I don't know anything. But this is a think tank, and I do like to look at the facts and draw logical conclusions. And when the world's leading pathologist is second by another world leading pathologist making similar statements, now you have something that looks like proof. Now, Donald Trump wants to blame Obama, Comey, and Clinton for Epstein's murder. It's almost like he wants people to pay no attention to the fact that when Epstein died, Trump was in office. When Epstein was arrested, would you like to guess who was in office? Take a stab at it. Trump. So Trump was in office when he got arrested, when he died, when the whole ceremony went on, when all of the files were created. Under his Department of Justice, these files were created. Under Trump's Department of Justice, the Epstein files were created in order to prosecute Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislane Maxwell. So not only does he have the files and access to them now with one phone call to his President Attorney General who runs the Department of Justice, Pam Bondi, but when the files were created, he had access to them then. He's always had access. There was 4 years he didn't have access. The files were created, he had access, he has access now. He does not need to go to the courts, as he's claiming he's doing, and beg judges to release stuff that they're not supposed to release because it's sensitive. When you testify in front of a grand jury, you're protected. Your name can't be released. You can release yourself, your testimony is protected. You can't release that to the public. That's part of the testifying. It's part of the agreement when you testify. So now he's going to, his claim is he wants to go to the courts and have them release all the files that they're not supposed to release. Instead of just releasing the files that were created by his Department of Justice while he was in office and that he has access to right now. So now that I've brought all of that up, and the fact that his Attorney General, Pam Bondi, now wants to have a meeting with Ghislane Maxwell, what could be discussed? Well, she has the goods. Nobody knows where that letter to the Wall Street Journal came from. I've heard speculation, especially from the Midas Touch, that just maybe Ghislane Maxwell released it to the public to show that she has something on him, and she has much more because she's been there, and that just maybe she should be let out of jail so she don't spill the goods. That sounds logical. Not my theory, but I can't disprove it. It makes it pass the sniff test. It checks out. It sounds plausible. Not saying that's the only possible way that that letter was released, but it definitely has something to it. It touches a nerve like, ooh, maybe. Oh, what's that? And so outside of that, you have, well, no, let's dig a little deeper into that. So when they meet, let's go. Yeah, let's finally touch it. Let's do it. So when she goes there, what are they going to talk about? I have everything that you testified on my desk in a file. We'll say Pam Bondi. Ghislane Maxwell. Well, you ain't seen nothing compared to what I got. I'm doing what Trump did in the letter. I'm making up a conversation. Because the truth of the matter is, That's what it is. She doesn't have everything Ghislaine has because she wouldn't give everything unless you're going to make her a deal. That's how you get what she has. You got to make her a deal. So, what kind of deal can you make somebody who's already serving 20 years with 6 served already? I've heard a lot about having her sentence commuted. I don't know what that is. I'm supposed to look it up. Um, what is a commuted sentence? We're going to ask Gemini. A commuted sentence is a reduction of a criminal sentence, typically by a governor or president, without forgiving the underlying offense. They can let her out of jail. They can commute her sentence. They can say, time served, you out. And what is a pardon? All right, all forgiven. You can get out. They can make her a deal where she gets out of jail. Now, if Trump might be listed, I mean, first, let's step back. I forgot to mention something. The amounts of time that a criminal that's already been convicted by the Department of Justice has been visited by a head of the department in the history of this country after Pam Bondi visits her, or I'm sorry, her immediate subordinate, the man who used to be Donald Trump's criminal defense attorney when he lost his case and became a convicted felon, because that's who's the next up in the hierarchy underneath Pam Bondi. The assistant director of the FBI is Donald Trump's attorney, where he lost the case and became a convicted felon. Now, me personally, I'm gonna say it right because this stuff has bothered me. I don't get it. You made the second highest attorney in the entire country somebody that lost your case. If you had won the case, I'd be like, well, that man's a beast. I could see it. You made this man your attorney, you're the second highest office in the land for attorneys, and he lost your case. What that dude got on you, bro? What does that man have on him? And you said now he knows all your secrets. That's why you did that. You want to keep him quiet. You give him a cushy job. And now something came up with your name in it. That's the man you sent to go talk to Elaine. I keep calling her Elaine. Ghislane Maxwell. The man already has your secrets. Who else would you send? This man knows all your dirt. Yo, go talk to her. Make sure she don't talk. That's what it sounds like to me. I'm just guessing, but I would speculate. I would go very hard in saying that it's very likely that he sent somebody who already knew the dirt on him to shut her up. What do we got to offer you? A pardon, commuted sentence? How do we get you to not say Trump's name? Better yet, Trump is, no, I don't know. See, now there I'm stuck. Here's why. Trump can't keep his story straight. Is he going to go with it never happened as a hoax, Epstein hoax? Is he going to go with I just knew the guy in passing? Kind of hard to do after that birthday card, right? And after you've been seen in his mansion multiple times, and after every witness says you're in your name, it's kind of a little bit more difficult. But some sort of deal has to be made, and she's going to get pardoned. She's going to get a commuted sentence. That's the likelihood based on what I've seen. So, I mean, by the way, the person that had, I just saw it, the person that had all the information originally was Bill Maher. Bill Maher is the one that was the head of the Department of Justice when they prosecuted Epstein and Ghislane Maxwell. Sorry, Ghislane Maxwell. It was Bill Maher. So he had the files because his man did the prosecution. I don't think they cool anymore. At the time it was his man. If it wasn't, he wouldn't have had a job because you know how Trump goes. You're fired. Him and his secretary for the Board of Education's husband, Vince McMahon from wrestling. Well, Trump even, let's see what else I got going on here. Without my co-host here, it's a little rough. Oh, by the way, the name of the lawyer is Todd Blanche. Todd Blanche is the assistant director of the Department of Justice, and Todd Blanche is going to see Ghislane Maxwell. Alan Dershowitz was like, "Yo, you better talk to that girl. He's literally on Fox talking about she knows all the secrets. What secrets, Mr. Dershowitz? Maxwell is the Rosetta Stone. Like, yo, you're saying this right in front of the world, like we're watching. Like, yo, you're literally saying this in front of everybody. It's wild. Anyway, the broken bones in Epstein's necks. We visited that. So I want to get into this financial situation, right? This is quite a bit of speculation that this is a distraction. That he wants to hide the fact that he wants you to talk about anything other than the fact that the economy's failing. But as was pointed out to me, something much more closer to home for Donald Trump has occurred. In his first term, he was firmly against crypto. In his second term, he's now passing bills for crypto and crypto dominance in the financial sector. Here's where him signing bills for crypto dominating the financial sector is so important. As of right now, he is literally the fifth largest Bitcoin holder in the world. So in 4 years, he went from talking down on crypto to purchasing $2 billion of Bitcoin. Later, for the fact he owns his own coin, he has his own exchange. Those factors aside, but included, he is the fifth largest holder of Bitcoin in the entire world. BlackRock, number 2, I forget, there's others, but he's number 5. He's the fifth largest. And while talk about grifting, talk about some of the most ridiculous crimes that can be committed. He's literally buying up Bitcoin and passing bills for Bitcoin while he's doing it. He's not even hiding it. So is this a distraction? There's arguments for it. Absolutely arguments for it. But with that being stated, I don't think he wants this rupture in his base. It got so bad that the Democrats kept voting to try and release the files. So many Republicans wanted to join it that the House Speaker put everybody on break early. Like, all right, bang the gavel, that's it, we done. But we got to vote on, no, we'll come back. But Mr. House Speaker, we're done. The House is on break. We vote on no more bills. Just to stop the release of the Epstein files. The House Speaker stopped the voting on everything. He put them on break early to stop the release of these files. Do you know how serious that is? Do you know how? I wonder what he has on Mike Johnson. Because Mike Johnson was like, release the files. Him, Pam Bondi, Kash Patel. I'm just going to drink my tea. But seriously, they all let their campaigns into the seats that they're sitting in based on releasing these files that they're now protecting. It's crazy. It's crazy. What else is happening? Because I'm gonna wrap up soon. Without my co-host here, it's not as lively. Oh, the urban search and rescue team leader resigned. That is wrong. There was a typo. I can't even. It's a typo, and I don't remember what it was about. Okay. Oh, how can we forget? Trump is working so hard to cover this case that to make this disappear that he's even suing the owner of the Wall Street Journal. That's a shock. That was his man. Like when everybody else failed, he went with the owner of the Wall Street Journal. His name is not up here. There's some typos today. It's important because we just filed a powerhouse lawsuit against everyone involved in publishing the false. Donald Trump said, "We have just filed a powerhouse lawsuit against everyone involved in publishing the false, malicious, defamatory, fake news article in the useless rag that is the Wall Street Journal." Wow. That's crazy. Rupert Murdoch's supposed to be his man. So if you're going against Rupert, filing a lawsuit against the Wall Street Journal, and you're suing Rupert Murdoch, for the record, that means you're suing Fox News' owner. Because not only does he own Wall Street Journal, but he owns Fox News. Donald Trump is suing the owner of Fox News for lying on him. He threatened to sue prior to the article being released. Rupert decided to release the article anyway because he thought it was verifiable. That's what happened. So Trump is going against the owner of the Wall Street Journal and Fox News. And how does Fox News retaliate? The weirdest, strangest thing I've ever seen. They're pushing the Obama story. They're pushing the Clinton email story. They're still supporting Donald Trump. He's threatening to sue your owner, and you're still behind him 100%. You're not talking about this? What did I miss? And if anybody has anything, y'all can put it in the chat because I'm lost. And so we covered the fact that he owns all that Bitcoin. But let's talk about the economy really quickly. 52% of the economy, 52% of the population of America believes we're in a recession. More than half this country think we're in a recession. That's bad. Those are not happy freaking numbers. LinkedIn reported 11,000 job searches per minute. 11,000, just LinkedIn, not everybody else, not Job Hub or whatever. LinkedIn reported 11,000 job searches a minute. In this economy that's the best in the world, and in our great golden age, and how we added this million jobs to the, like, yo, he's lying. So half the country believes in a recession. Everybody's looking for work. Or 11,000 people a minute are looking for work, putting in job applications. Was that crazy? Maybe the Fox guy is hoping to settle out of court. I heard an argument today because I said the Wall Street Journal, they're not going to settle. They ain't going to back down. But I heard an article today that makes me think they're going to settle. And the argument went like this. They want access to the White House. The Wall Street Journal and Fox News want access to the White House. They want access to Air Force One. The people that pay the bills, the commercials, are going to stop paying the bills and airing commercials because they're not talking about the number one story in the world, which is Donald Trump. So possible that Rupert Murdoch took a calculated risk. He said, owner of the Wall Street Journal and Fox, took a calculated risk and said, we're going to publish this and we'll just pay the lawsuit because they want the publicity. It's possible they said we'll make more money paying that lawsuit than we lose not publishing this. We publish this, let me rephrase that in a more clear manner. If we publish this, we're going to get sued. But the amount of money we make from publishing this, we can afford that lawsuit and then some. So let's publish it even though we're going to get sued. It's going to be worth it. It's possible they made that calculated risk. It's possible they said, yeah, we're going to do this. We are going to make so much money from publishing this that we can pay this lawsuit off and keep going. Because everybody's going to be talking about this article, and we still are. I'm talking about it right this minute. It's possible they made a calculated risk. And they will sell out. And they probably will, because to lose access to the president for Fox News would be devastating. It is well worth it to pay that lawsuit. Fox News losing access to the president would be devastating. It would shut down Fox News. What else do they have to talk about? So they probably, when looked at through that lens, I can see why they would pay the lawsuit. I can also see why they would publish it. He's going to be mad. He'll get over it. He'll forget by tomorrow. He's talking about Donald Trump. Only 35% of the country approve of the current administration's performance. We have a man that was in the 60s and 70s and 80s in approval rating until he actually started doing his policies. Now only 35% of the country approve of him. He's not doing so well. So these are the things that people feel like he might be doing. These are the reasons people feel like the Epstein thing might be a distraction. There's a lot to try and distract you from. Having bought up $2 billion worth of Bitcoin and becoming the 5th largest Bitcoin holder in the world. The economy crashing. The wars that are still going on. Prices going up. What else did I say? 35% approval rating. 11,000 people a minute looking for jobs on LinkedIn. 52% of the people in the country believing we're in a recession. It is possible, quite possible, that it is a distraction. I don't think so. I think that everything's crumbling apart and his base is finally starting to see him for who he is because of this. And now they're looking at everything else and realizing how bad it is because their eyes are now open because their root belief that he was going to, their main belief that he was going to root out the evil has turned out to be not true. And now they're looking again and they're like, oh my God, he's a liar. Can't believe this. And prices are going up and oh my God, what happened? What is this bill they're talking about? And what do you mean pollution? And why are Russia bombing Ukraine heavy and Ukraine's retaliating? And what are they doing in Gaza? More kids are starving than ever. Israel's doing what? They're blocking food from getting through. What is happening? I think because they believe so strongly that Trump was going to reveal all of these Democrats and he's hiding the files. They're looking at him through a different lens. And now that they're looking at him differently, they're looking at everything differently, including the fact that prices are going up and some of their friends can't find jobs. Some of them can't find jobs. And the pay's not going up. Stagflation, recession. So in the end, we have to talk about what can be done. How do we get out of this? The Democrats are pissing me off. The Republicans put together this plan, Project 2025. And they said, if we ever get back into power, and we control all three branches of the government, the executive branch is the president, the Congress, that's the Senate and the House of Representatives, and the judicial branch, where Trump placed all them judges, if we can ever get all three of these, we're going to implement Project 2025. Let it be done. It is now implemented. And it was done passing one big ugly bill, as Hakeem Jeffries, the minority speaker of the House, claims. I call it the big bad bill. He calls it the one big beautiful bill, where, you know, as mentioned, tens of millions of people will lose health coverage, millions of people will lose food security. The United States is going to become the most polluted place on the planet with air you can barely breathe, with carcinogens, which means cancer causing agents in the air, with billionaires now getting tax cuts that stretch on forever, making them like they're not the richest. Like this is not like they ain't billionaires already. Like, but you got to take all this money from all these other people to fund that. And since we're talking about that, since we're talking about all the money's being taken away to fund these billionaires, a recession has to happen. And on top of all of that, this country goes further in debt rather, to the tune of $4 trillion to give tax breaks to people that can afford $50 million weddings. Like, and I believe the Republicans are like, yo, is this really happening? Like, is he giving tax? Like, I think they're waking up, and I think it's because they've become disillusioned because their core belief was that Trump was going to expose all the Democrats that were evil child molesters and drain the swamp that we call the US government. And they're looking at it like Trump's part of the swamp now. They don't believe he was always part of the swamp. So what? He was best friends with Epstein forever. No, none of that matters. Now somebody's corrupted him is the excuse. Regardless of how it happened, their eyes are opening and they're seeing Trump for who Trump is. And they're not going back. So the Democrats have an opportunity. What the Democrats need to do is introduce Project 2029. And in Project 2029, they need to start putting bills together to reverse some of the damage that's been done. Reduce the tax breaks for the wealthy. They can afford it. They only had it since the ones they have since Trump's been in office anyway. In New York City, there was a surprise run for the mayoral race. A man by the name of Zoran Mom, I'm having problems with names. Mamdani's, thank you. Zoran Mamdani ran, and now he's in position where he beat out everybody around him to go for the mayor. He has some wild concepts. So now let's talk about it. Some of it sounds very socialist. Oh no, now we're talking about Russia and Germany. Socialism is evil. It's evil. It's evil. Universal health care practiced in every country in the world, every civilized country in the world, civilized, depending on who you ask, country in the world, Canada, France, like EU, all these countries have basic health care for their citizens, except for the US. That health care that covers everybody is a socialist program. Let me ask you a question. I'm not going to. Do you think everyone should have health care in the richest country in the world? Let me go to this. What's going on over here in our chats? The man that owns Fox is definitely going to settle out of court. He's not. He took a calculated risk. He did it. He knew the consequences. Trump told him he was going to sue. Rupert Murdoch's definitely he's gonna settle. He's gonna pay Trump. It was worth it. You know the amount of coverage that birthday card got? That man happy. I don't know what an which exam is. I cannot reply to that. And you wanted to correct me, Mom Donnie. Thank you. All right. So where are we going here? So let's talk about, okay, Medicare for all would be amazing. Like nobody in the richest country in the world should be homeless. You know how you walk through the streets and you see people on a corner with them cups asking for money with no place to live in the richest country in the world while billionaires are getting super tax breaks? Mamdani ran on housing for everyone and he won. And the reason he won with that socialist approach is because he should not be in the one of the top 5 richest cities in the world where 30% of the people are homeless. It don't make sense. You go to California. California's GDP, the gross domestic product. GDP, gross domestic product means the amount of goods and services that are traded within a year, that are sold in a year. Let's make it simple. So if you own something or you provide something and you made money off of it, it goes towards your GDP. The money you make goes towards your GDP. California has the 6th largest GDP in the world. I'm talking about amongst countries, not in the city, not in the states. 6th largest GDP in the world. Like amongst other countries. Like United States is 1, China is 2, they're 6. Their economy's bigger than Ukraine and Russia. Like they're 6. Their economy's bigger than Russia. Like, let that sink in. I think, wait, was Russia 4? I think they're bigger. I think they're bigger than Russia. But regardless, they're the 6th largest economy in the world. You should not have a tent city. You should not have a place where you walk through and there's tents up because people don't have a place to live in one of the richest places in the world. You should have some sort of way for everybody to have a housing. So Mamdani's socialist program makes sense. Medicare for all, where people shouldn't be on the street dying because they can't afford health care while in front of a multi-million-dollar house, is crazy. Healthcare for all makes sense. When every other country's doing it, why is the United States the one that's behind? Why are we behind? So let's talk about the big one. Let's talk about the big one. It's called UBI. UBI is Universal Basic Income, the mother of socialist programs. It provides money for anybody above the age 18, basically, or something along them lines. It gives you a way that everybody can take care of themselves. Welcome, Robert. What's going on? Yes, that's we've gone over Ghislane Maxwell. Ghislane, we want us looking at Trump while Ghislane Maxwell holds all the secrets. But Ghislane Maxwell doesn't, well, she does have all the secrets. But as I was saying earlier, I'm gonna just say this to you and then I'm gonna keep going. Ghislane Maxwell has a bunch of secrets, but she was prosecuted by Trump's Department of Justice. Mr. Barr, in 2019, was in charge of the Department of Justice, and they prosecuted her. So everything, every note that had anything to do with Ghislane's trial and anything to do with her is now in the present Attorney General's mailbox because the Department of Justice held all the files. So the present Attorney General holds all the files because that's who prosecuted her, the Department of Justice. They have all the files. They have everything on her. The person in charge of the Department of Justice is Pam Bondi. They have everything already. They can release the files. When she said the file was on her desk, That was a real possibility. They have everything. They have everything. They have everything. So the reason that the prosecution isn't being brought up now is, yes, it's a distraction. Look at the courts. Pam Bondi's going to Pam Bondi. Pam what's his name is going to say they're going to go. The Department of Justice is sending their second in command. What is his name? The man who used to be Donald Trump's attorney, Todd Blanche, who used to be Donald Trump's defense attorney when he got convicted of all of those felonies in New York City, in the Southern District of New York. They're sending Todd Blanche in to talk to Ghislane to make a deal. They're going to shut her up. It's going to be a pardon. It's going to be a commuted sentence. They're going to make a deal and shut her up. That's without question. So, yes, she holds the secrets. But she's not going to talk. They're going to make her a deal. It's very likely she's the one that released that birthday card to the Wall Street Journal so that she can show Trump, I got the goods. There's more to come. You better make a deal. Hey, Emily, how's it going tonight? Oh, Emily's funny. She's not just holding the car, she's distraction. She vanished like my paycheck after rent. I love it. Laying solitaire in a bunk. Yeah, I mean, she is a distraction. We was going over this economy thing, Charlotte. Charlotte, everyone forgot Maxwell is still alive and knows everything. All right, so I got to get back into this Maxwell thing. Everybody wants to talk about this. Distraction level 100. Keep eyes on the Epstein file, not the circus. I'm going to go through this one more time. For those of y'all that missed it, the Department of Justice under William Barr prosecuted Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislane Maxwell in 2019 under the Trump administration. The Department of Justice has all the files from the prosecution. The Department of Justice prosecuted Ghislane Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein in 2019 under Donald Trump. He had access to the files then. It happened with William Barr under Donald Trump in 2019. He's always had access to the files. Now saying that Ghislane Maxwell, yes, that's a distraction because Pam Bondi, the new attorney general that has the place that William Barr had in 2019, his present attorney general has all the files. She said the files are on my desk in February. It was believable because she's the attorney general, the leading attorney for the country that prosecuted Epstein and Maxwell and has all the goods. She has the files, everything, all of it. Tapes, videotapes, phone books. If it exists, she has it. She can release it. What's going on? Oh, y'all just gonna keep going. The real distraction is how she disappeared faster than my motivation on Monday. Ha! Whoa. Maxwell got all the tea and sipping it like she's at the Queen's funeral. She do. Why no media coverage on Ghislane lately? That's how there's a lot of coverage on her. Again, is it Todd Blanche? I just want to make sure I got the name right. Okay. Oh man, I don't see his name now. Of course. So yeah, Todd Blanche. Todd Blanche is the man that at one time represented Donald Trump in the Southern District of New York. He was his defense attorney when he was facing felony charges. He lost. Todd Blanche defended him unsuccessfully and still wound up the assistant director, the second most powerful prosecutor in the country under Pam Bondi for the Department of Justice. Todd Blanche, well, Pam Bondi has reached out to Ghislane Maxwell's attorney to have Todd Blanche meet with Ghislane Maxwell for discussion. No one knows what's going to happen in that discussion. We believe she's going to be silenced, offered a deal where she'll be pardoned or commuted. She is the center of news right now. Why don't anyone else feel like the real story is being buried under political drama? Maxwell still holds the black book. That's why no one wants. Maxwell doesn't have the black book. Pam Bondi has the black book. The Attorney General has the black book. The Department of Justice has the black book. Donald Trump has the black book. They have the black. They don't need Ghislane. Ghislane is a problem because Donald Trump controls the Department of Justice. He doesn't control Ghislane. Ghislane can talk. She's not a threat because she's going to say something that they don't have control of or that they don't already know. She's a threat because they know what she knows and she can talk. That letter to the Wall Street Journal with the naked girl with Donald Trump's signature scribbled in the pubic area where he likes to grab him by the is where all of the heat is. That's what's going on. They're afraid she's gonna talk. They need to silence her. And she wants her sent. She wants to get out of jail. She's been in jail for 6 years. She wants them to pardon her. Computer says to let her out of jail. And she can twist their arms because she has enough information and they know it. All right, so who's getting ready to wrap up soon? That was bringing some of my favorite people up to speed. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Charlotte. Thank you, Emily. It's always good to see you here. So I want to wrap up. We're talking about UBI, Universal Basic Income. We live in the richest country in the world where billionaires are getting tax breaks that would make them go from millionaires to billionaires, where their tax breaks are worth more than your company's entire GDP for the year, their entire whatever they make for the year. These tax breaks for each individual one of these billionaires. And you go outside their houses and you go down the block and you got to step over homeless people in the street that are starving to death. And for the richest country in the world to have 15-20% of their population on the streets homeless is unbelievable. We should have some sort of way that everybody has housing. And I do believe, okay. That's why the mayoral run is starting to seem successful in New York City. I would vote for a man that's going to get all of the homeless people off the streets. If that's what you want to do, you want to get the homeless people off the street, you got my vote. I might not be homeless, but damn it, I don't want to step over homeless people every time I walk out the door. It's getting more dangerous to walk in the streets. Crime is going up because when you have poverty, you have crime. So crime is going up. So you got poverty, you got crime, you got people begging for change, you got people getting robbed, and you're in the richest country in the world, and all you got to do is pass a law that'll take people off the streets. But no, let's not do that because it's socialists. We need a Democratic Party that's not going to be afraid of the labels that Republicans throw out there, and it's going to do something for the people. And universal basic income, housing for all, Medicaid for all is something I can get behind. And I'm not saying you have to destroy capitalism. There can be tiers you can earn better, but you should have a basic level, universal basic income. Nobody has to starve in the street. And then you can incentivize people to work. You can figure all that out. But you have to start with a plan. The Democrats don't have anything. Start with a plan. Let's say, all right, we want to make sure nobody lives in the street, everybody gets food, everybody has health care. Now, how do we make people work if they got everything and go from there? Well, they can have the bare minimal. Like, we'll make sure you get rice and, vegetables, but you want meat? Might need to get a job, bro. You want a PlayStation? We ain't giving you no TV. You know what I mean? We can give them the bare minimal. Human dignity as a baseline. You can move up from there. Thank you. Like, we can do that. If we have people with $50 billion in the bank, one of them billionaires could still be the richest man in the world, and everybody have a basic place to live. Like, it don't have to be the way it is. Not in the richest country in the world, not in the richest country in the history of the world. The Democrats need to come up with an idea, with a plan. And I want to start working on that in the think tank. We need to come together and start coming up with ideas. And as our community grows, maybe we can start presenting ideas to people that can help implement these changes. That's definitely a target of mine. I would like to make mention that one of the distractions that Donald Trump put in place was Coca-Cola is going to use sugar instead of the high fructose corn syrup that they use in order for Coca-Cola. High fructose corn syrup is terrible for you. This is one of the things that makes soda so bad. They're going to use sugar, which is a wonderful thing. Wait. There's a problem. They're going to get, what is the name of the supplier? The person where they want to buy the sugar from has been banned from the United States because he uses forced labor. Let me put that in English. He was banned from the place where Coca-Cola is going to buy their sugar is buying their sugar from a place that uses slaves that Trump has lifted the ban on and now allows them back into the country. I think senators and representatives have their emails public. We can contact them to start. In order to make a difference, you have to have numbers. So we have to have a petition. We have to have a number of signatures. We got to grow the base first. We come up with some concepts. We put it on paper. We start a petition. That's the way we do it. But first, we got to come up with a plan. I love what you said, and I think that's good. We need basic, how did you phrase it? Human dignity. But that's what we do. EU is ready to retaliate if the United States doesn't let off their tariffs. 90 deals in 90 days. He said Vietnam. He said we have no deals. Not one. The art of the con. He made believe we have deals. We're going to have deals. Nobody signed a deal. He sent out handwritten letters. This clown. He sent out handwritten letters talking about what their tariffs was going to be and called that a deal. That's not a deal. When a good comes into a country, when I buy my tea and it comes into the country, right? Get a box. There's a tariff on it. Country did not pay the tariff to send it out. When it got to the United States, the tariff hit it. When it comes in, the person that picks it up, that buys it, when it comes in, has to pay the tariff. It's a company. Suppose it's Walmart. They have to pay the tariff when it comes in. So that box of tea might have cost $2. With a 20% tax, now it's $2.20. They buy 1,000 boxes of teas. 1,000 boxes of tea. Now they've paid $2,200. Are they going to pay the $200? Or are they going to pass on that 20 cents per bag of tea or per box of tea to the customer? Other countries don't pay the tariffs. We pay the tariffs. Tariffs are a tax on the people. So now that I've re-explained tariffs, the EU wants to put countermeasures on, put tariffs on to make people not want to send stuff in, or to make stuff that comes in so expensive your people don't buy it, which is why he said people are buy American, because it's going to be too expensive to buy stuff that comes from outside. That part is actually accurate, except for the fact we don't manufacture, so there's nothing to buy, which means it's stupid. Anyway, EU has threatened retaliatory tariffs, which means that now U.S. companies are not going to be able to sell to them. And if we can't sell to people outside the country, then we're going to start to see companies slow down because they don't have as many people buying, which is going to lead to layoffs, which means the tariffs are going to lead to layoffs. The European budget cuts threaten humanitarian and journalism funding. It's not supposed to say European. The US budget cuts. So, in the rescission bill that Trump is passing that we're not supposed to be paying attention to, he's threatening humanitarian aid, like to other countries where we used to help countries that was getting through stuff like diseases that killed them and stuff like that. He's cutting the aid to that and the aid to journalism. He wants to cut PBS, NPC, the channels that we go to for our news outside of Fox, whom he's suing. He wants to cut that. And of course, if we're going to pollute, we're going to be increasing climate change. Why that matters. What is climate change? Climate change is the fact that the temperature of the earth has gone up by 1 degree. That rise in temperature will cause things like the solar cap to melt. It will cause heat waves, which means it'll cause global warming. Climate change causes global warming. They're not the same thing. It's cause and effect. And finally, the worst of the worst. Let's talk about the worst of the worst. You got mass people jumping out of vans, armed to the teeth, dragging people in because they look Spanish, arresting them, throwing them in prison, surrounded by a swamp filled with killer alligators, and an administration selling T-shirts for the spectacle. I didn't understand it when they did it in medieval times. A moat, all right, boom, trying to keep people out. You got it's defense. You're trapping people in a moat with alligators, like that is really sick. It's like our country is run by depraved individuals. But then again, when you got a guy whose best friend was touching 10 and 8-year-olds, training 14-year-olds for fellatio, and he's hanging out with them with bunches of little girls that he had at his beauty pageant, what would surprise you? You know what surprises me? The amount of people that support him, that back him, that are not poor white trash like everybody thinks of them. Like, the educated ones, the Pam Bondis, who's a lawyer, the attorney general, the House Speaker, these all the Republicans, which now have to follow his lead unless that base breaks, which is why the Epstein files are so important, because he can take their jobs. But if that base breaks, if they're successful using the Epstein files to break that base, then the Republicans can go against them and they can start going against some of these bills that they're passing that's only hurting their constituents anyway. They're hurting the very people that put them in power, that gave them a job, that voted for them because they're afraid of Trump. But if the MAGA base is not with him anymore, they can turn against him. They might even oust him in something called, oh my God, the word is eluding me. What do you do when you want to get rid of a president? So, Michael, no, Chrissy, I think senators and representatives have their emails public. Oh, okay, we covered that. All right, what we got left? Secret federal arrests spark constitutional fears. Right, so that's it. Comparatively study of redistricting abuses, power grabs that shape elections behind the scenes. All that is stuff we're covering. We're saying that the United States is being run by a bunch of criminals right now, or covering for the most heinous acts ever known to man. The molestation of little girls is sick. I'm literally sick to my stomach. And I can't say he's definitely guilty, but the people that were molested call his name. They put his name along with Epstein, and Epstein went to jail for it. Ghislane went to jail for it. and Donald Trump's name is right next to theirs. That's the undisputed truth of the matter. Is he guilty? Those beauty pageants where only him and Epstein partied with these little girls afterwards. It's just, I mean, I want to vomit. I'm physically ill. Like, there's something wrong with that dude. I mean, we are talking about the same man that said that that looked at his daughter so attractive that he said, if she wasn't my daughter, that man is sick. Anyway, next time, hopefully, my co-host will be back. We'll be able to have an open discussion across the aisle. I want to start talking with some of you guys on maybe we can come up with resolutions some of these problems and maybe put out petitions. I think universal basic income, healthcare for all, and housing for everyone should be something that we work on. I think that we can still have a society where you can earn your way up without having people living on the streets as part of it is a possibility. I think that if this is a think tank, we should come together and figure out how to make that happen, how to make that work, to come up with strategies and plans, and then present them to people and then make a lot of noise so that they're implemented. If you want to become part of the critical thinking community, if you're a critical thinker, if you want to become part of this, like, share, subscribe. If you just like what you saw, you know, like, share, subscribe. It'll help spread the message. It'll help you to see us the next time we're on. See me when I'm dropping some knowledge or trying to figure some stuff out. And I do a lot of studying, so I will be helping y'all figure some stuff out. I will be dropping some knowledge and help build a community where we can find answers, we can come up with answers, we can create solutions.